Should I, 48 years old male, tell my wife, 44 years old female, that I received a sex tape of her in the mail? Throwaway. This is an odd thing. Wife and I have been married 20 years. I've never suspected her of cheating and our sex life has been outstanding. First of the year, I receive a package in the mail. It's a DVD addressed to me, and a typed note that says your eyes only. It's my wife having sex, separately, with 3 guys. She was younger, much younger. Based on body and appearance and hairstyle, it was around the time we were going out, either before, during, or after we were engaged. She grew her hair longer for the wedding and kept it that way. First, I've no idea who sent it to me other than one of those 3 guys in the DVD, none of which I know. I'm assuming it's one of my wife's ex. Second, I've no idea why they sent it. Are they trying to say she was screwing around on me? The tape isn't time-stamped, so I don't have a frame of reference. She kept her hair short for years until we were engaged, so it could have been during a block of time, certainly before we dated. And also, what are they trying to achieve if this was taken before we dated? I know my wife had other partners. Hell, I had 3 times the partners she did before we married. But that was 20 years ago. I think we're past that. But apparently this person or persons isn't. The whole thing is strange. I'm not sure what's going on. I haven't told my wife. I'm not sure how she would take it. She's very sexual and adventurous, but I don't think she'd like the idea of her past catching up to her. But I don't think I'll get to the bottom of this unless I tell her. Edit. Update. I'm overwhelmed by the responses. Thank you for your interest. I did speak to my wife yesterday afternoon. Some mentioned letting her watch it in private and I gave her that option. She did and we talked at length. Some of it is a bit clearer now. The 2 amateur-looking videos are 2 roommates, taken on the same night. That's why the camera doesn't move and that's why the room is the same. I asked why the bed looks different and she replied the sheets were a bit messy, so they changed them before they had another go. The other is a boyfriend she dated when her and I met, before we actually started dating. She knows this man is friends with one of the before-mentioned roommates and thinks it's him who got the 3 videos together and sent them to us. Why? She admits that last summer he tried connecting with her on Facebook. When she did, he tried to make it sexual again, so she stopped. She thinks he sent the DVD to cause an issue with us. For the first time I now have doubts. Her answers are logical, but seem a bit off to me, and honestly I may be just upset that she did 2 guys in one night. I know it was 20 years ago, but that's still hard to take. Call me shallow if you want. Also, she didn't seem shaken by the DVD or the fact I had it, merely irritated that this person sent it. I had the idea she'd rather I didn't have it, but now that I did, oh well. It still leaves many questions unanswered, such as why the tapes are from 96 to 97 and the DVD was made in 2013. But I'm just getting it now? That may be minor, but it may be everything. Plus, how does this gentleman know where I live? Facebook doesn't give you that information. Being in contact with someone does, so now you see why I have doubts. Thanks to you all for your concern and feedback. I love my wife and cherish her, and her past is her past, but for some reason it's slapping us in the face right now. I will take some time between the 2 of us to figure out what is truly going on. Edit 2. I want to clarify something. I've been getting a lot of feedback, mostly negative, where everyone is irritated with me that I'm upset with my wife for being with 2 men in the same night. None of my business. It was 20 years ago, I should man up, that sort of thing. Look, I said it was hard to take. Most men understand their partner was with different people before them, but seeing their spouse with 2 men on the same night is hard to handle. I didn't say I was changing my view of her, or leaving, or any other angst you want to put on me. It's just a difficult thing for a married man to see and realize. I'll get past it, but it's not an easy thing. And for everyone who says it was 20 years ago, lighten up. I challenge you to sit back, grab a beer and watch 2 young men have intercourse with your wife on the same night and see how you feel about it. Frustrated at best. You won't love her less, but you'll not feel great afterwards, trust me. So thanks for everyone calling me an a-hole, but until you're in that position I'll ignore you. Thank you very much. Final edit. This will be my final edit. Thank you all for your support, but all I will say is, it's time for me to make some decisions. I hacked into my wife's Facebook account. Childish and immature, I'll admit, but I did it nonetheless, and I found things disturbing enough that I need to think long and hard about what I do next. I've given her the benefit of the doubt through this entire thing. Now a shadow had been cast and I'm questioning her more than ever before. Heartbroken is putting it mildly. It's time for me to work on my life and myself. Thanks to everyone and their interest. Definitely tell her, if her past is coming to catch up with her, she should be aware of it. Also, y'all never know what really happened until you ask. It's actually pretty disturbing that someone sent you this 20 years later. Something about the time frame is unsettling. Why now? Is it a joke? Is someone trying to hurt your marriage? Is someone obsessed with your wife? What is going on here? Definitely tell her. Who knows, she might be able to crack the case. Update. My 26 years old male girlfriend, 25 years old female, has grown distant after I got beat up defending a group of girls being harassed. First of all, I want to thank every single one of you who commented on my last post. The love and support I received was immense, and it actually made me feel a little better in the mess of it all. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. All of the following happened yesterday, so excuse me if I ramble a bit. It's all fresh in my mind. Original post - mandatory. I have been with my GF Sarah for 3 years and been living together for 1.5. She is honestly everything I have ever wanted, and I'm planning on proposing somewhere next year. So 3 weeks ago I was out with Sarah at a local bar drinking and having a great time with her, as it was just after quarantine had ended where I live. At around 3 a.m. we decided to head home. As we headed to the parking lot where we had parked, we noticed a group of 2 girls and a guy who was clearly drunk trying to hit on them and get them to go to his house. The girls were clearly very uncomfortable and trying to find a way out. Sarah told me that we had to do something, and I told her go call the cops and get someone as well, because the very least I wanted was her to get hurt during this. So I approached the group and tried to pretend I was the boyfriend of one of the 2 girls, and long story short, I got my ass kicked. The guy was at least 6'4" and 220 pounds, whereas I'm 5'11" 167 pounds. I'm fairly muscular myself, but there was no way I could have taken someone that big. I knew it from the start. At least from all the noise we had made, a lot of people rushed the scene and the girls got away safe. I was rushed to the ER because the mother effer had broken my ribs, which had punctured my right lung. Yay. After that incident, Sarah has grown a distant from me. Even though she visited and stayed with me at the hospital, she hasn't been the same since, and I thought she just needed time to move past this. However, 5 days ago she told me that she is not the same person after what happened, and she doesn't know if she feels safe with me after I got beat up like that. Honestly, hearing that hurt me more than when I got my ribs broke. She has moved to her parents for the time being, and she told me she needs time. Meanwhile, I had no one here to help me, so my brother left his 2 boys and wife to move in with me. I know I'm just venting at this point, but I don't want this to be over like that. Reddit, is there anything I can do to salvage the situation? Update. Until yesterday it had been 14 days since my last contact with Sarah. My brother had left 4 days prior because I felt bad keeping him away from his family for so long, plus I could take care of myself to some extent. So around 2 p.m. while I was making lunch, I hear the doorbell ring. I go to open the door and there she is, Sarah, with tears in her eyes, eye bags, frizzy hair, looking like a total mess. During the time we've been together I've seen her in her ups downs, but I'd never seen her in such horrible state before. So I let her and she sits on the couch. We haven't still said a word as we were both dumbfounded. I was so overwhelmed by emotions. I wanted to hug her, I wanted to full on blast on her. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. So I did nothing and waited for her to talk. After 5 or 10 minutes of silence she starts sobbing and saying she's sorry and then full on crying. At this point I can barely hold myself together. So I hold her hand and try to calm her down so I can figure out what is going on. After a while she finally somewhat calms down and starts talking. And that's where it got bad. Something that I didn't include in the original post, because it wouldn't make sense to anyway, is that Sarah's mother has been divorced and remarried once. From what Sarah has told me, her biological father cheated on her mother while she was still a kid, and that's why they broke up. And that's also why she doesn't have any kind of relationship with her father. It seemed odd when I first learned about it, but I didn't question it. That is not the whole story though. Sarah's biological father didn't only cheat on her mother, he was a drug addict boss that also used to beat her up frequently. Without getting into a lot of graphic detail, in one instance when Sarah's brother tried to intervene and protect her mother, he ended up getting beat up too. So when she saw me intervening and getting my ass kicked in the bar incident, it triggered some kind of PTSD in her head that she could not control. That's why she had grown distant and eventually left. It all spiraled out of control and she could not handle it. In those 2 weeks we'd been apart she'd barely eaten or slept and even made some really dark thoughts which I'd rather not go into. She told me is a horrible girlfriend for leaving me alone in my condition and that she doesn't expect us to be together again after that, which I told her isn't the case. So we have a very long road ahead of us. My number one priority right is getting her to see a therapist, which I suggested we can do together if she's scared to do alone. So yeah, that's where we are at. Some of you are right, that there was some deeper issue behind what happened, but I could not have possibly known. I also wanted to take this opportunity to say something that I got messaged about a lot. I got a lot of comments and messages saying that I was a moron for what I did at that parking lot and that I should mind my own business next time and not play the hero, etc. First of all, I did not initiate the fight with the dude. As I said when I got there, I tried to pretend I was the boyfriend of one of the girls in case. When that didn't work, I got between the girls and the dude, trying to create some space between them, and that's when he started to push me and eventually started throwing punches. Secondly, no matter how hard I hit the gym, I would never be able to take that guy one-on-one. As I said, I'm pretty fit, and I've been working out for several of years, but the fellow was a lot bigger than me. Unless I had a gun or something, which isn't legal in my country, I was doomed. Finally, for the people telling me to mind my own business, well, let me you that what exactly what I was doing. It is mine and everyone else's responsibility to look after the ones who can't protect themselves in this lousy world. No, I do not consider myself a hero, nor did I do it for the show. I did it because in some other instance one of those girls could have been my girlfriend, sister, mother needing help, and these girls were somebody else's girlfriend, sister or mother. If I was put in that situation 100 more times, I would act the same. Also, I also talked to her about the proposal I wanted to make this year. I was planning on doing it as a surprise, but in the way that things have turned out, I figured it would be better if she knows it first. We both agreed it should be delayed for now. Thank you for the update and the additional information to add context. I wish you well in your relationship. You did well, dude. You did really well, both in what you did standing in for those girls, and what you are now doing with your girlfriend. Not every argument can be won by using fists, and not every battle you fight you are going to win, but doing the right thing is when you start actually winning for real. And even though may think you lost a fight, you should understand and be happy with the fact that you won anyway. You stood up for what was right, and that's a win in my book. If everyone did as the naysayers claim and minded your own business, well, it just makes the world a darker place. Unless people like yourself stand up, even at the risk of coming out second best, things just turn slowly to crap. You and I, and others here, know that this is not the world we wish to live in. So work through this with your GF, do the therapy and keep talking about things. You'll both get to a much better place and live a long and happy life and never be afraid of doing what is right. My wife gave birth to a black baby that clearly isn't mine, and I'm divorcing her, but I'm worried about the relationship between my two kids and their new half-sister. A month ago, my wife gave birth to a black baby girl. We're both white, so she was forced to admit that the child was a result of a one-night stand last year. I've started divorce proceedings, although we're still living together for now. Between our two boys aged 2 and 4, I've had paternity tests for them and they came back positive. Her infant daughter and her having lost her job due to the pandemic, living together as amicably as possible until the divorce is settled is an unfortunate necessity. Naturally, I have no ill will towards the baby, and I've been disgusted by some of the comments I've heard from family members, friends, coworkers and others, all who seem to be fixated on the racial angle of this, as if the most salient part of this isn't that my wife cheated, but that she cheated with a black man and that the baby is black. What really worries me is that my two sons might pick up on these narratives. They're too young to really understand what's happening now, but I'm worried that as they grow to understand the situation that they might grow to resent their half-sister for breaking up their parents' marriage. And worse, that their resentment might express itself in a racist fashion, under the influence of the aforementioned racist narratives. Any thoughts on how I should try to influence my sons away from that perspective? It probably doesn't help that we live in a suburb with very few black people and their half-sister is really the only black person my children know. I'm no parent, but I think telling the boys to love their sister no matter what would do the situation some good, or at least to keep that message consistent through their upbringing. Step 1. You need to consult a lawyer in your jurisdiction to ensure you don't accidentally establish paternity, if it's not too late. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.